It's hard, right? Like it's hard. I've been guilty of it. I think a lot of people have been guilty of it because it's so evil, it's so corrupted that you get hyper focused on it, and so it's hard. Is the answer? It's very difficult. I think there is a very fine line of realizing that, I had a revelation not too long ago. I found myself getting angry, legitimately mad at the left or certain people on the right or people in the middle or people that's like, I don't even know who's running, and just, my head exploding. And I found myself getting angry with these people. And then, the Lord kind of convicted me a little bit, especially in the past year and a half, that, those people, it's not those people that I'm mad at. It's the evil that I'm fighting against, that right now, unfortunately, on the left and things, we see just utter and complete evil that's being voted for, that people are being put into office and they continue to vote for it. That's what we're fighting against, is the evil that's going on in there. And every single one of those people, as much as they drive me nuts, Jesus loves them. He wants to have a relationship with them, and so I think if you look through that lens of politics, et cetera, whether you believe this person is good or that person's bad, or even though this person is good, Trump is better or whatever, as long as you look through it through the lens of our purpose as Christians and our whole reason for being here is to bring people to Jesus. How do we effectively do that? Is it through politics? Is it through culture? Is it through movies? Is it through podcasts or sitcoms or books or novels or comic books? Who cares? If we put this first and the truth that it speaks first into our worldview and how we look at things, that's the only way to do it. And it is a constant get in the Bible all the time, listening to sermons all the time of people that are wiser than me, to truly center me back towards, it's not about the politics. It's about the soul of America. And if we can affect the soul of America for Jesus, then we can affect the politics. Well, Jesus kind of gives us this, Sermon on the Mount, where he talks about being salt and light, right? Context of those things are very important. A lot of people read the Bible and they flip through the pages and they just read it and like, oh, okay, and they don't really download the context of, I get in this argument all the time, the context of why it was written the way that it was written back then, because it was written that way to appeal to the people so they understand what they're talking about. So salt back then was used as a preservative, it curated meat, it delayed decay. That's what salt was for, right? The main purpose. So when Jesus says be salt and light, the very first thing, I think it's funny that he says salt first. He could have very easily said be light and salt, but he says salt. The book is very clear. We all know how this is going to end, but we as Christians are supposed to be salt, i.e., we are supposed to delay the decay for as long as possible. We are supposed to save as many people for Jesus as long as possible. And then my favorite part about all this is light. What does light reveal? It reveals what's hiding in the darkness. And sometimes when you reveal what's hiding in the darkness, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be cute. It's not going to be the best part of your day. But revealing what's hiding, the evil that's hiding with light, that they don't want to be seen. What's going on behind the curtains, behind the veils, they don't want you to expose that. And I had a very interesting conversation with some Christian, it's a Christian conference with some Christian people. So check this out for all the church leaders and the Christian communities listening. There's so many people right now like you, like this amazing organization. You can throw me in that if you want to, but I think the church, I think Christians, I think we have to redefine what we think ministry is. Okay, like if you were to close your eyes right now and the church or a church organization is going to support someone's ministry, you think missionary, you think that maybe they're an evangelist, or you think maybe they have a church, or they build houses for orphanages and stuff. I believe, we talked about context a second ago, I believe context today, a lot of people's kingdom work, a lot of people's ministry is taking on these battles that so many people are just standing aside. And if we redefine that in church world and church culture, and we realize that there are people that are doing it, just because it's not the way you would do it, or it's not the way somebody else would do it, it's kingdom work nonetheless. It's to expose the evil. It's to bring people to Jesus. It's to preach the truth, not your truth or their truth or whatever. It's to preach the truth that is the gospel of Jesus. And I think we need a slight realigning in the church world in that regard. I think as Christians too, we have to remember, one, I would say that, once upon a time, I didn't have a big light to shine either. And so I think as Christians, we downplay, not ourselves, because of course, as us, we can't do anything, right? But through God, like you have no idea what God can do. Trust me when I say, I remember doing the truck videos almost 10 years ago, pretty much to myself, and family members going, "What are you doing? This is embarrassing. Like you're embarrassing the family and stuff like that." And now it's real easy to look at everything and go, "Oh, well, of course Graham's supposed to do this." Don't count out what God can do, first of all. And then second of all, somebody really pointed this out to me, and it has completely changed my mindset. And so many people have seen this in me, especially the past year and a half. Somebody said, what if you're getting all this platform, all this ability to reach all these people, and what if, even though you have access to all of those things, what if none of it is actually about you? What if it's to reach that one person that's listening to this right now, because they're going to do 10x what you do? And what if it's then their ministries or their light or whatever it is, then what if it's not about them? What if it's then they're able to reach 10x the amount of people we are, because the next so-and-so is in that room, or the next this person's in that room, et cetera, et cetera. One of my favorite stories, and is hearing about, and some people, this isn't about whether you like this person or not, it's just a story. Hearing about how they found out about Jesus. It was an old school preacher that rode in on horse to like preach in front of 10 people. And it was like 2 families at that point, 10 people. And that person probably never saw the fruits of their labor or things like this. But one of those kids ended up being Billy Graham. And then look what Billy Graham did. And so again, this isn't about doctrine or denominational talk. This is about just in general, right? You want to talk about not realizing what God could be doing in your life because you're doing what God told you to do. And as long as you do what God told you to do, you are honoring him. One day we're all going to have to put our crowns before Jesus. And I just believe that don't count out what God can do in your life, because you just never know. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that this would be my life, I was an active duty soldier in the Army getting yelled at all the time, and I never would have believed it. God can do such amazing things. And the biggest thing is oftentimes what God is doing in your life isn't even about you. It's about the testimony and the story and the works and the light and the mission that you're going to do that's then going to affect other people. And that's what's so beautiful and so humbling about God all in one thing is, it's crazy. You brought up 1 Corinthians, so I'm gonna go ahead. 1 Corinthians 2, 1 through 5. Paul, in my opinion, is laying out the epitome of what you need to go out and preach the good news, right? In the church, we've done a lot what we have done in politics. If you read the Constitution and you read everything about what you need to be a politician, it's not anywhere close to what we have built up in our minds as to what it is. Well, Paul does the very same thing about somebody who wants to preach the good news. In our mind, when we think of preachers, we think of this and that and this and that. It's nowhere close for what Paul actually pointed out. In fact, Paul, brilliant person, he goes in there and he says through 1 through 5, and I'm going to butcher it, but you can go read it yourself. 1 Corinthians 2, 1 through 5. And he lays out, I came here not because I'm the smartest, which he was, but either way, not because I'm the smartest or I have the best way with words and I'm the most articulate. I come here simply knowing the good news of Jesus. And the reason that is the most important thing is because then, as listeners and as people that are trying to seek Jesus, or even people that are looking to pastors, he points that out, because what happens is you can't put your faith in the wisdom of a man, but in the power of Jesus. And so, all these people that have all the doctorates and all of this and all of that, none of that means anything in regards to the power that is the good news of the Word of God. And that's all you need to be able to go out and preach the good news, is just know God, know His goodness, know His glory. And that's all you need. And you can bring people to Jesus, and people can have a radical transformation in Jesus. And it can be literally any one of you. You don't have to be this special person. You don't have to be this well-spoken person. God can use anybody. And that's it. That's the closing remarks.